Colonel Lamon was called on to act as marshal on the occasion of dedicating the cemetery at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Mr. Lincoln told me that he would be expected to make a speech on the occasion. From his hat, he drew a sheet, one side of which was closely written with what he informed me was a memorandum of his intended address. This he read to me, first remarking that it was not at all satisfactory to him.
To reach beyond the ghastliness left by the Gettysburg battle and find words that would give hope for the future. That was Lincoln's task. After examining a plan for the new cemetery, Lincoln sat writing at his desk, shutting out all noise with his great concentration. His thought processes were slow. His memory, extraordinary. His mind is like polished steel, said his friend Joshua Speed. A mark once made upon it is never erased. To Lincoln, the written word was humankind's greatest invention, enabling us, he said, to converse with the dead, the absent, and the yet unborn. The more he pondered, the more he believed that God had created all human beings fundamentally equal. Today, as he wrote about this, a fine and powerful glory was in his pen. Thousands had streamed into Gettysburg for the great occasion, and town hotels and private dwellings alike were filled to overflowing. As the parade approached down Baltimore Street, the military units were in the lead, the president and dignitaries just behind. Every minute along the way, a cannon was fired. In moments, the marchers would arrive at the new cemetery at the outskirts of the little town where today the eyes of the nation were focused.
The band played with great effect. Mr. Everett then arose and, without notes of any kind, pronounced an oration. He occupied 2 full hours in the delivery. Then Marshal Lamon introduced the President of the United States.
The occasion was solemn, impressive, and grandly historic. The people stood spellbound, and the vast throng was hushed and awed into profound silence.
I, a boy of 15, stood with my heart in my mouth, literally at the feet of my hero. I could look directly into Lincoln's face, its deep lines, the wrinkled brow, the deep-set brooding eyes burned indelible images into my memory. Then Lincoln began to speak.
87 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Mr. President, I should be glad if I could flatter myself that I came as near to the central idea of the occasion in 2 hours as you did in 2 minutes.
I am pleased to know that in your judgment, the little I did say was not entirely a failure.